Wow. So everything is going to be different today. I have no carry. I think I have no carry for a good chunk of the week. So that's going to be tricky. So I'm doing all the button pushing. I'm doing all the guessing. I'm doing all the hoping. And so today on our show, by just total happenstance, we have two different food makers, Carol Christensen from Bunch Bars and Deana Karim from Goodies and Goodies Mix. So we're going to talk about this sort of thing. And we've got food to be had today. So if you're not hungry, you're going to be hungry. So understand that. My father has shown up. Hi, Steve Brogan. You might find this a fun conversation. And so I'm going to probably make some mistakes. And look, I just said to Deana that we had a friend from Austin coming. So there's Elizabeth from Austin. She says, hola. Deana says, hi. So yeah, Carol Christensen, Deana Karim, we're going to have a killer day. Naz is here from Milan, but that's almost as crazy and exotic as Maine. So there's Coach Woodard up in Maine. So let's see. Oh, Leslie's up in Maine. Sorry, Leslie, I was going to click your thing, but I realized I have to click this thing.
Hi, everyone. Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show. So everyone's really going to have to work with me on this one today because, I'm hitting all the buttons. Who knows what's going to happen? My mother is also joining us, my father's wife, and also Jason Jarrett. Hey, Jason, good to see you, buddy. I'm going to start with Carol Christensen. We're going to talk a little bit about her company, Bunch Bar. Bunch Bar, actually, I even have a few. So I've had to say that I've put her food products in my mouth already. So I have a sense of what we can even talk about. So let me grab her. Let's figure out. I'm going to hit a button. I'm guaranteed I'm going to have it wrong. No, I did it. Carol, hi.
Chris, good morning. Good morning.
We made it.
I made it live on a Monday morning.
Oh, we did it. So you have created Bunch Bars. Now, first off, when somebody makes a food product of any kind, I feel like there's this thing that happens where someone said to you, oh, that's pretty good. You should make one professionally. And almost always that's not a good piece of advice. Most times, you make pretty good cookies, and it's not good enough, right? How did you do this? How did you know that this is something you wanted to put together?
Oh my gosh. Well, that goes back a little ways. I have like two parts, I guess, to my life. And one part is that I worked in food for a long time at kind of bigger sorts of companies, doing great food. And then I worked in the nonprofit space. I actually left the food business to start a nonprofit. And it was really then that I realized that there was a need out there for really great, amazing food and bars that could go with someone anywhere at any time. They had to be fantastic. And so I hit the kitchen and about 100 recipes later, and after burning out my KitchenAid mixer, here we are with Bunch Bars.
So I love the part that you mix and match the two, and I want to go just a tiny bit deeper with regards to the big companies, because we had on here, for instance, Chef Mike Harris, who is one of McDonald's corporate chefs. We have a big love and appreciation for your next door neighbors, Johnsonville.
Sure.
And so we've had Johnsonville on the show a whole bunch of times, including Ralph Stayer, the founder. And
I know Ralph.
Well, there you go. See, small world, we're pals. Hey, look, and Space Spear came all the way back to tell us that we're epic still. Thanks, Space Spear. So what kind of big food were you in? I guess what I'm asking is, like, just how far afield are you from, like, were you making bars for some other company and you said, I'll make them for this because I have a better plan? Or were you making, like, I don't know, MSG in an MSG factory? Like, what was that kind of?
No, nothing. Yeah, nothing like that. No, I'm from Wisconsin. Well, I'm originally from Illinois, but I married, I guess you'd say, a Wisconsin boy. So I've been in Wisconsin ever since. So I've worked in cheese. I mean, you can't kind of be in Wisconsin and be a food person without working in cheese, which is which is all fantastic here in Wisconsin. So, companies like Sargento and Sartori. So really nice, really.
So and I love that already.
Yeah.
I love that already because, I worked in cheese. Who doesn't want to have said that they worked in cheese? I mean, I think anybody except for a lactose intolerant person, that's a kind of dream job.
Yeah.
But you had to break free. You had to go and do your own thing. And you said, I think I'm going to do this. And your point about working with the nonprofits, for instance, when you buy a 10 box of Bunch bars, you give away 2 more bars to places where people need this. You just launched pretty much. I mean, it's just been a handful of months.
Oh yeah.
How's that going? And let's just talk launch for a minute. Like, what's the good and the bad, or what's the, oh my gosh, I can't believe we didn't even think about that.
Oh gosh. Well, I think I'll start with the bad. I mean, launching a food product in the middle of a pandemic, most most people, most companies are hitting the brakes. And because our mission is to get great food to, everyone basically, whether down on your luck or, buying a pack. We were, we hit the gas pedal, but there was a day where, it's just taken so long to get ingredients and everything. And then a lot of our ingredients come from California, the almonds and so forth. And
Right.
we just had gotten gotten it all figured out with COVID and the pandemic, getting the ingredients in, and then the wildfires hit. They're like, oh, we're, that was just like, it felt like felt like Armageddon. It felt like the end of the world that day. I mean, that was just, one thing after the other. But, we made it through. We launched 4 months ago, and really since then, it's been great. We were just inching through the first few weeks, and then we were written up and sold out actually a product. So that's like kind of a good thing and kind of a bad thing all in one. But yeah.
Your branding is incredible, and it's very vivid. There's some great color choices. It's one of those, I hate saying things like this, but it's like super on point for 2021. Like it's very much, there's all these trends I've been reading about in branding, and you're touching all of them. Who did this? Whose branding concepts were these? How'd this go?
Oh my gosh. A lot of people, I think, the spirit behind the brand really came from myself and a few friends, especially with the pandemic, of bringing people together through great food. Food's a great connector and a great give to people who need it. So that, and then we had a lot of agencies come in, and frankly, artists, people just showed up to help. And so we probably had a dozen people help with the branding seriously. So we're really grateful to them.
Instance, Carol, they're so iconic already. Like, this brand seems like it's been here for a while. It does not seem like something that just launched a few months ago.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
We really put, our hearts into this. Our heart and soul went into this. And I think the artistry really comes, really shows that. So we're here to do as much good as we can.
Well, so primary with the mission is fighting food insecurity and that sort of thing. That's, one of your first big brags on your entire Instagram is we've already donated almost 3,000, probably more than 3,000 bars by now, which is, that shows where you put your values. But like all over your page is, we're quoting John Lewis, and we're quoting all, kind of the people of the moment that matter. Clearly, this is important to you. Was that important right even before launch? Like, was this Carol saying, there's no way I'm going to sell candy bars unless I can have people understand what matters to me?
Yeah, well, I mean, and they had to be good. These are like protein bars made with whole ingredients and so forth. Because really, we were out to get good food and share good food with people. Most certainly. But yeah, when we started, I mean, in the pandemic, in the middle of the pandemic, and basically then the insurrection, in our words,
right.
we couldn't be silent. In fact, we had just set up our Instagram account the day Ruth Bader Ginsburg passed. I mean, ironically, just that morning, we set it up without any intention of posting for weeks. And we posted about her. That was our first post, actually. It had nothing to do with the bars themselves and had everything to do with her and what she did with her life. And so we want to be about the people behind the good food and sharing the good food, and not just about sort of the bars themselves, which are wonderful, but it's more than that. It needs to be about more than that in times like we're in today. So
you launched with 2 flavors. I have some here because they were sent, and I've eaten both flavors already. You've got a dark chocolate almond, and you've got a peanut butter. Coach Woodard just asked the question, though, is it in your intentions to provide one for nut allergy people?
Yes. Yes. One of the causes that we partner with is the Boys and Girls Club. And before we even started with the launch of the bars, we talked with them about that. And I knew that because I, through my nonprofit, that I founded before this, I spent 2 years in Boys and Girls Club. So yes, that's a necessary thing for the causes as well as the world today. So it's on the list. It's on the list.
So for right now, though, what's already in here? I want to go through the ingredients. At least that's where we have them on the site, which is basically almonds, which we found are really hard to get in the middle of a wildfire.
Yes.
Dates, which are a little less hard to get.
The sweetness comes from dates. There's no added sugar.
No added sugar. We've got some organic dark chocolate.
Yeah.
Now that's also another one of those ingredients that's like on the chopping block, because there's all this stuff going on with that. There's slave labor problems with chocolate. There's environmental problems with chocolate. It seems like you would never think these things when you're like, I just want to make a delicious bar that will help people be fed. But that's one that is on your thing. Peanuts and peanut butter. We just talked about nut allergies, of course, for the almonds. And then soy protein crisps. As a way to tuck a little bit more protein into the bar, which of course is important if this is a meal replacement kind of bar.
Yeah, and it adds a really neat crunch too. So a lot of people, one of the things that we learned was that a lot of people don't love their protein bars. They're sort of suffering, gnawing their way through on their protein bars. And so we wanted to make these just a delight to eat and enjoy. And the crisps really do that. So our bar is like a little softer, so it's really easy to eat. And then those crunches and crisps, really top it off nicely. So
see you, Jason. Have a good meeting. And they do make a difference. They really do. When I was chomping around, I had to actually read the packaging because I was like, what was that? And then I looked. So it definitely makes a difference. And the bars texture is a super vital, important part. And there's some of the early people making bars, you would have thought that they had some of their background in like steel foundries because those bars were so hard you could replace parts of your car with them. So it's definitely that. One other question I had as it relates to all this sort of thing and dealing with your mission and all that, what then happens? I mean, you're at launch. It's a little, crazy to ask you at launch, where are you going next? But like, do you have phases for this thing? Phase 1 is just get the damn bars out. Phase 2 is we're taking over the world. Like, what's in between those 2 phase steps?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing you mentioned is absolutely right. I mean, at the beginning, you're like, man, we just need to get these bars out and get people starting to share them, with enjoying them and sharing them with others, good for you yourself and also good for others. And we would love to add more products to the line over time. So I think we have this idea of you buy, and we're only online. So you buy, a 10 pack, and then we give 2 to a cause, and really to the cause of your choice. So you get to choose between 3 different causes, which is kind of a neat addition that people wanted to feel a little closer to their giving. So we feel like that can apply to a lot of other, great elevated snacks beyond the bars. So broaden the range, and the more we can share, the more we can give, is the way we look at it.
And do you have other bar flavors kind of waiting in the mental wings, or are you testing some new ones, or are we sticking with these 2 for a while?
Yeah. We are testing some new ones. Yes, and we're open to ideas. So if you have any ideas, send them our way. Most certainly. Yes. So looking at that, and then looking beyond, I guess, beyond the bar even to other snacks. So that's like super ultra confidential at this point.
Okay, I won't tell
Just
anybody.
kidding,
Nobody tell anybody.
yeah, I know. No, we're working on it, and so stay tuned.
Elizabeth had the question of can you send to food banks? I think you have been sending to food banks, right? I mean, that's part of what your donation process has been.
Right. So there's 3 different causes that we send to. One is kids, and our partner there is the Boys and Girls Club. The second is reaching out to the LGBTQ community, and that's through food pantries. A lot of folks don't realize that community, for example, youth suffer homelessness at twice the rate of their peers. So that's a really important community to share some love with and share some good food with at the same time. And then the third is women, lifting women up. And we work with Sarah's Circle in Chicago to do that. And then we have the option too, because some folks were like, I can't choose between those 3 causes. Don't make me choose. They're all great. So we have the choice of having us really determine where the most need is, and we send your 2 given bars there. So, yeah. That's what we're up to. So yes, we do get food into places like food banks, but we do it with these different partners.
So everybody stick around, by the way, because when we do our person of the day near the very end of the video, we're also going to do a giveaway where we can send those to you. Naz had asked the question: do you ship overseas? He's in Milan, so
not yet, not yet,
baby. Sorry, Naz. Come a little bit north. We'll get you handled. Carol Christensen, thanks so much for joining us. Stick around if you can. We'll grab you back after. Hang tight 1 second. Boop. All right. Look, and I'm doing all the buttons today. And hey, Dr. John Smith, Chloe, Charlotte, Swizzy, Cynthia, CJ, and everybody else. Christina asked the question. Sorry if I missed it, but where do we buy these bars? I gave up steel bars for Lent. Bunch Bars, bunchbars.com. You have your choices of dark chocolate and almond, or you can have peanut butter with chocolate crunch. So they're both super, super, super tasty. Bunchbars.com. And I got to read a couple ads, and I'm grabbing Deana Karim to talk about goodies. So don't go anywhere. Ready? Let's see. How fast can I read these ads today? PubSite, we're sponsored by PubSite, which is, if you are an author, a great place to build your website for your author books. Pub-site.com. It is free for the first 14 days, and then it's $20 a month after that. If you want them to build the site for you, it's only $499. Or like I always say, let me build it for you. I'll charge you $2,000, and I'll just have them do it for $499 and pocket the $1,500. You want to write a show just like this, you can. You have to go find your own food specialist, but cbrogan.me/StreamYard to get your own damn show. You don't have to work on mine. Hey, if you find me unattractive, and who doesn't, you can just listen to our podcast anywhere that you can find audio podcasts. I'm so much more attractive on radio. So just go look for The Backpack Show. We are hosted by Castos, which is why we were able to offer you this delicious service for the hell of it. If you need a new online domain, you can get one with .online as the name. So you could be Naz.online if you just get this for 99 cents. Go to cbrogan.me/online. Throw in the code Chris, all caps, for 99 cents for your first year of having an online domain. 99 cents, birches. Just call me John. It's my real name. Hi, John, your real name. All right. I'm grabbing Deana, and we're going to talk about even more food things. Deana Karim, welcome. I love the timing that it just blew up at your house.
Yeah.
I love it. I know not everybody does, but to me, that's the best time in the world.
I didn't know if you noticed. I was like texting my husband. I was like, I'm about to go on. It's been like pin quiet. And I was like, this is great. This is going to go really smooth. This happens every time, by the way. You know that.
I totally know that.
You get it. It happens every time.
I hope they come running through. I hope they come running
Door
through.
is locked. Door is locked.
That's why tasers need to be a little bit more legal. So we are going to talk about your business next. Oh, come on. Kid taser, not like a grown-up one.
No, they're cute. I would never do that.
Other people's kids are. We're going to talk a little bit about Goodies Mix. And so you also, I have the same question I asked Carol, because I don't know, like I eat food, but I don't invent it. What were you doing before this? You said, I think what I should do is start Goodies Mix. So talk a little bit about what you got going on over there.
Sure. So I was in marketing before. I've always been a foodie, just like you're saying, you love food. I love food. And I always wanted to own my own business. That was for sure. After I had my first son, he's the older one, Ibby on the right, I wanted to be healthier. So I started researching diet. At that time, it really wasn't popular. It was in 2013. And I love to cook and I love to bake. And I was like, how can I make this taste better? So I just started experimenting. And just like how you said, sometimes people tell you should sell this. My sister tried my sugar-free cookies and she goes, this is sugar-free? I go, yeah. She goes, it's really good. You should sell it. And the joke in my family is don't tell me stuff like that, because I take the idea and I literally run with it. Like, they don't even tell me what restaurant they think they want to go to because I'll already have it booked before they finish the sentence. So I was like, okay. I did some research and I decided that making cookies really wasn't the area I wanted to go in. So I went to mixes so that people can add whatever they want to it, if they want to make it dairy-free or not. And, again, diabetes also runs in my family. My mom has diabetes and I just didn't want that kind of life for myself, to be honest. It just didn't seem like something I was really looking forward to. So, it was a really serious switch for my life, and it's my lifestyle now. I haven't looked back.
So you, in putting this all together, you didn't have, some massive, you weren't like some food scientist or something like that. You were just like, how hard can it be?
I became one, basically. And so I thought all companies, like people who start companies, that they make the stuff themselves. And so I was like, okay, so I'm going to make it myself.
Yeah,
and
right.
I have learned so much. And since then, I'm still the food scientist behind all my mixes. They're all my formulas.
Nice. So you go a slightly different way. Yours happen to be grain-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, soy-free. So they're all great for the low-carb thing, which is a massive swath of people right now eating keto and or low carb. So obviously, from the marketing perspective, you've got a massive group of people. When you do this, by the way, it's interesting. I loved reading this, just kind of compared to the different ways it could be done. What went into this for you? Like, where's your heart in it besides making sure you made food that tasted good? Like, when you decided on the branding, what made you pick this kind of look and feel? Talk a little bit about what brought you to this sort of experience.
When you start a business with no money, which is what I did, I started it with $5,000. And the way it looks now is very different. And actually, if you click on Shop Now, you'll see kind of the evolution of the packaging for brownie. Oh, you have to do it. And you can see that it really changed. I guess we took it out. So it just kind of showed you how it looked from way before to now. It's changed massively. In the beginning, you can tell it's definitely just me doing it. Mm-hmm. And I was really super lean financially going into this. So I had so many different roles. For the new look that you see here, it's, shout out to Jenna who works with me. She has such an eye for aesthetics. So while I'm the one who's like eating in the kitchen, I was never a great food photographer. That's why I could probably never be a blogger, but she is just so insanely talented and she's made everything just look so much more beautiful.
I like that you have food sparkles and sprinkles. I like that, if nothing else, you could just decide, I would like to pick up a bag of sparkles, please.
Totally.
And, it goes from there. But this, it's every little bit helps. And if people are choosing those lifestyles that, low fat and all that sort of thing, or low carb, I should say, high fat, this gives you a real big opportunity. So my dad tends to eat a lot of ketogenic. He's a diabetic. So this goes.
He gets it.
This is great. Elizabeth says so much and dairy and gluten-free, anti-inflammatory diet, lots of gluten-free tastes really bad. So how did that go for you, like trying out different food formulas? Because, like you said, you were new to it. It wasn't like I have 38 years in making food taste good.
It's so true. Actually, I had to get surgery on my finger because I was working on mixing. I was creaming the sweetener that I use with butter to make cookies. And I use one of those hand mixers and I just, I was working. I had my son. I was also I was a digital marketing project manager simultaneously, like doing remote work before remote work was like the COVID thing.
Mhm.
And I had my son at home, and I would work on this stuff at night. And I remember doing it, and I was just trying to clean out the batter, and I don't know why I pressed it. I don't know if it slipped or it fell, and my finger got completely slashed. I have 18 stitches on this finger here. So
Oh my gosh.
literally blood, sweat, and tears. Literally.
That's shenanigans. Naz asked the question, how old is your business? How long have you been doing this sort of thing?
So in October, it'll be 6 years, but I really started prepping, doing all the legal parts, doing all the formulas, all the research from 2014. So,
Wow.
7 years.
That's kind of nutty.
It is.
Did any of what's gone on, the way Carol is explaining how like everything got hit because of COVID, like her food supply and all that sort of a thing. Did your business get whaled the same sort of way?
Kind of. So what happened is that the sales jumped up during COVID, which was great.
Right.
For like
a lot more
when everyone was in,
right?
During the lockdown. So like March and April were awesome. And then when you're trying to do restocks, all the ingredients that you usually buy are gone. And it was really hard to get, like she was saying, this was almost a year ago, almond flour was in short supply, erythritol was in short supply. A lot of stuff were stuck because they come and, they were just stuck, or they were promised to other people. And it was a lot, I have to tell you. So yes, it was a hoot.
All right, listen, I have to interrupt you because I looked at your Instagram and stopped paying attention to you. What are cracker biscuits? What is that thing off to the right?
Oh, sure. So I have a biscuit mix, but I call it cracker biscuit because when I made it and I ate it, it was the texture of a biscuit, but it tastes like a Ritz cracker. So I called it cracker biscuit.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Cracker biscuits. Like that whole thing looks great, but I'm staring at those cracker biscuits and drooling now.
They're delicious.
You sort of stumbled into that recipe. That's
kind of, yeah. Some of the recipes I stumbled into. I originally just started with one mix, the chocolate chip cookie mix, and then I got pregnant right after I started the company with my second son, Gus, and I got let go from my contract for my actual job at the time, 8 months pregnant, and then that's when my husband. Oh yeah, it was great. And at the same time, I had just put more money into the company to launch my second mix, which was the brownie mix. And so this is the story I tell everyone. I had my baby in Texas, both my boys. And I was in the hospital recovering from the C-section. And I don't know why, I had my phone and I'm looking and I go, oh my God. And I looked at my husband, I was like, brownies just hit #1 on Amazon. He's like, what? I was like, I know.
Wow.
So that was the moment. I still remember it was August of 2016. He's like, okay, let's do this. Like, this is your moment. You're going to go either full-time or you're not. You can't keep doing both and, raising kids. So I went in and it was, financially hard for a little bit, right? Because New York is an expensive city.
Yeah.
And, now we have over 30 products. So no investors, no loans. I just kept reinvesting and just not paying myself. So
these are affordable too. I mean, like I'm just looking at the cracker mix, no reason, not because I'm planning to buy it right away. But
I'll send you some.
Look at that. So I want to go back. I want to a little more seriously.
Yeah.
Not everyone's significant other supports them. Not everyone's significant other says you ought to do that. And you know what? Maybe that's a great time. I'm gonna grab Carol back. We're gonna do a little panel thing. Hey, Carol.
Sure.
Hello.
By the way, I don't warn guests ever. So like whatever they're in the middle of doing, I'm just like, you're back. Carol, I'll ask you both this question. What was the partner situation as far as support goes, and how does that work? And who did you have your board of directors at home that says these things to you, like you're not going to be in business pretty soon if you don't do X, or they're like whatever, just have fun. Tell me a little bit about that, both of you.
Okay. Carol, is it okay if I go first?
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt.
Go
Okay.
right ahead. Yeah.
It just so happened to be because I was recovering in the hospital, and we looked at each other. My husband is pretty smart, and he's a smart guy. And he, from the beginning, I remember asking him this when I launched just the first mix, which was the chocolate chip cookie. And I go, do you think this is like a bad idea? Because I had some people tell me, just stick with what you're doing. You're making enough money. Like, just stick with what you're doing. And I looked at him, I go, do you think I'm crazy? He's like, no, I really think you're going to be successful in this. And I was like, no, not just like from my husband, but seriously. And he's not someone who kind of lies to make me feel better.
Right.
Although sometimes I wish he would. He goes, no, I really think it's going to do well. And I have my sisters and my parents who are a huge support system for me. So I got very lucky. I really did. So that's what I had to say. I mean, and I needed his support because when I had my second son and then I went and I didn't have my other job, I needed his support because we have 2 boys in the city. Like I said, I would be packing boxes and breastfeeding because I had no help. I didn't have literally at the same time, I'd be like holding him and I'm printing it out. I did everything I could when he wasn't napping. I would wear him. And my husband would actually be the one to take the boxes to the post office before I had a fulfillment center. So it's so important to have that. And he's watching, so I'm sure he's smirking right now. So I just don't even want to see his reaction after it's done. He's going to be like, I knew I helped you.
Carol, how about yourself? What was the home situation on this scenario?
It was similar. It was similar, actually. You come home with these, crazy ideas. When you're starting something like this, it sounds like it's hard to even talk about them without feeling the craziness behind them. But a lot of support there. Just like, well, go try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we just felt like we had to try. We had the product, we had the idea. I mean, go for it. And so, onward and upward from that point forward. And my extended family too, and friends and countless people. I mean, you see like just me here, but it's not really just me. It's a lot of help. It's a whole
lot of people there. A lot of times interviewers forget to ask guys this question the other way. They were like, what did your spouse think? Whatever. They only ask women this question, which is such a
true
piece of baloney, isn't it? But
it's so true, actually. That's so accurate.
I like to ask founders in general because it's always a team effort, right? There's always a scenario that you have some other half who's looking at you like there's some financial number in their head that either you're up or we're going to kill this whole thing or whatever. No matter what gender they are, it's just, partner thing. You're sitting there like one of you's working the real job and one of you's working.
Oh, yes, real. There you go.
And not making any money. Right. And so it's amazing how people see that world, I guess, is where I'm going.
I agree. I think it's an interesting perspective, actually, because it's true. No one ever asks, but no. I mean.
No. Where do you get a related kind of question besides at home? Where do you get your support to go on being a business owner? Where do you get your validation that you are not completely crazy? You're both crazy. I can tell you that.
Oh, for sure.
But where do you get the one that you're not?
You got to be to do this.
Crazy?
You have to be crazy to do this. Mine would be.
Think to some extent,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just agreeing with you. Yeah, I think to some extent, everyone who does this has to be a little.
you have to be.
Yeah, you have
it's to. A lot of work.
Have that passion to just take the plunge and.
100.
Yeah. Anyhow.
100%. I would say for me, customers. I'm very connected to my customers. I became very involved because when I started the lifestyle of like removing sugar. I became very involved in the community on Instagram, actually, and you can see like from my other name, like from 2013. And they were the ones, I didn't have money for marketing. So I really grew purely from my customers. I didn't do marketing online for at least 2 years because I didn't have the money for it. And I still can't believe it. So, I mean, they're the ones who supported me, the word of mouth. Even now, like I had because I talk a lot on Instagram with my customers, they knew I had a rough day yesterday, and the support that comes out from them, it's really like a huge community, and you feel you know them. And I've been able to meet some of them and do meetups, and that's probably my favorite part of the job, actually. So I still am the one who answers all the DMs on Instagram. They all know I love 90 Day Fiance. So, we know each other.
Nice. Carol?
Yeah, I think it's the same. The people who are out there, really buying the product to support the vision and the mission of what you're trying to do. That's what keeps you going. And it's a great feeling to put something out there and just see what happens in the world. You just put your best your best effort, the best tasting product you can possibly make, that's better than anything, you feel that's out there. And then see what happens in the world and if they love you back. And it's great to feel that love back.
It's amazing to imagine that you had real live, regular old day jobs and you just could have stuck with it and just been a drone. But you said, I think I'm going to choose this way harder path. And, and you went there instead.
It is harder. My gosh.
What's your out? Like, in your mind, you just run this until you're like, a crispy old person and you just fall into a grave eventually? Or like, where does this end for you?
Why crispy?
I don't know. Because people hate moist.
They do actually. And when you make baked goods, you kind of need to make them moist.
So I
moist,
understand. Right.
You can't. We're like the M word. For me, I can't see doing anything else, to be honest. So I didn't come, and that's why when new competitors have come out after I started, because I've been around probably one of the longer running ones, and they're just people who saw oh, wow, keto, let's jump on the keto bandwagon. No one knows who the founders are, unless you Google them like me. And no one knows that this is just something for them to make, to build into something big. That's their MO. And then they sell it. But like, I live this life and it's so important to me and I love what I do every single day. So I guess I'm doing it till I'm crispy, according to you.
Carol.
Yeah, well, I started this later in my career. So, I went into this with the intention of, hey, who can I give this to? Who can I give this to after it's up and going? That would be my goal, is to give it to, the next generation to really put their love into it. And frankly, they're already putting their love in. You showed the packaging and the art and so forth. Those, that's millennials. That's people in their, in college, submitting art and their ideas. And so I would love to pass that on.
So I have a book for you for homework for both of you, and it's called Mission in a Bottle by Seth Goldman, if you haven't already read it. Seth was one of the two founders. The other guy is Barry Nailbuff, who I always never mention, and it's because I don't know Barry. I'm sure he's lovely. They both founded Honest Tea together. And Honest Tea is, all natural everything. And they had like as much fair trade tea as they could have and all that sort of a thing. And when the process went on, one day Coke knocked on the door and said, we'd like to buy you. And they were like, oh my God, these are the evil empire. What are we going to do? And so the whole book is on them deciding whether or not they're going to sell to Coke and what the process is like. But what's interesting, and I'm friendly with Seth still, and he has a new business called Eat the Change because he sold to Coke. And he also runs one of your competitors. What's he run? He's I thought he's in one of the bars, but he's also a meat company, Beyond Beef. He's Beyond Meat. He's the chair guy.
Wow.
And so he talks about, where these businesses could go. So it's definitely a book worth reading. Plus it's a graphic novel. So it's fun because it's artsy. Naz had a question for both of you, and it is, what is the hardest part of running a food business like this? So I'll Deana first.
Sure. You never stop working. I don't, even yesterday something came up and I was like, what? So like, what am I going to do? And so Sundays are no longer really Sundays. That would probably be the hardest. You can't turn it off because it's how you make money too. That's the part, like you have to make a living as well. And, when you get a little bit bigger and you get to hire people to help you with stuff, they also then depend on you. Right. So when COVID hit and I was like very panicked before, I was like, it's not just me anymore. So if I take the hit, it's going to go down a chain and you have such a big responsibility. It's not just you and even like your little family, my nuclear family. It's now this whole other family that, your business family. And that's probably the hardest thing.
Wow. Carol, what's your take on that?
Yeah, the hours are grueling for sure. You just can't overstate that impact. And then the uncertainty is tough too. Just, do I go right or left here? Just a lot of decisions to be made, and you want to make the right ones. And yeah, it's fantastic. I don't want to, there's such great things that come out of it, but yeah, be prepared to work harder than you probably ever have in your life, but for a good reason.
That's good advice. Let's see. So everybody kind of took offense possibly to my crispy comment. Oldsters don't get crispy, we get wrinkly. Christina says, Deana, I'm not keto, but I need low fat as well as low carb. Have you or your crispy users used alternative fat sources like egg whites?
Yes. So actually, on the website, we have our recipe section, and we have some tips and tricks, some swaps, and we're going to start adding them on the bags. We're working to change a bag is such a bigger process than anyone would ever think. Like I have, it was Jenna helped me with the bags, and I'm sure she hates it. I was like, I have a bag question. She's probably like, ah. So we are, and one of my favorite hacks is with our brownie mix. You can do it with our cake mixes as well. And the blondies is you swap out the same amount of butter or oil for Greek yogurt. It's a 1-to-1. And you can actually have a whole tray of brownies for under 600 calories and 12-gram net carbs. So it's one of my favorites.
Ooh. I'm on it. Leslie says, great to have that community support and quality products to back it up. You could support the best organizations, but if it doesn't taste good, it won't matter. Good job to both of you.
Thank you.
Cody has a few things to say. Cody says, I love that we want to get as close to the carb counterpart as possible. I always think that is why Beyond Meat is so successful as well. They didn't want to make something niche that only vegans would eat, but something meat eaters would eat and say, damn, I can't tell the difference. Totally
Cody,
true.
so smart. That's so true. Like I also am not just targeting keto or low carb. I'm just targeting people who also want to, or gluten-free, because they're all gluten-free. I'm also targeting people who are sugar conscious. It doesn't have to be so extreme anymore. You don't have to just do one thing. You can just not want to have as much sugar, and that's okay.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, people are mixing their diet, mixing and matching pieces of their diet, and yeah, so go for it. But the product has to be amazing. I mean, we 100%. Were prepared to pull the plug if the product wasn't great. And we had a lot of people tasting these bars as we made them to make sure they were great. But that would have been a non-starter for us, for sure.
I think that may or may not have been a benefit in having a background in food. In some ways, Deana doesn't know, what you're supposed to or not supposed to do. So she goes, would I know? And she could just try it.
I was like, let's just do it.
Right. So and on the other hand, Carol has this other sort of perspective. Like, look, I've worked in food. I'm not going to get like emotional about it. If it's not the product, it's not the product. Maybe I'll try something out. Like both are kind of interesting perspectives. Don't you think? It's kind of nuts.
I think that's cool.
So here we go. Leslie says, I love that about the brownies. My favorite. Can't wait to try.
Thank you.
Just pair those with that ice cream you showed me yesterday. Just wanted to say I'm a huge fan of your peanut butter mixed goodies. So there's
Thank you, everyone. Yes, I just brought them back. My peanut butter cookie mix. So it's been it was a cult favorite, and then I was like, I have to bring it back. It was just, as Carol knows, you have to find the right manufacturer or co-packer, and when you work with ingredients like peanuts, I'm sure, Carol, you'll understand, like not everyone will do it, right? So it took me over 1.5 years to find a co-packer that I liked, that I can trust with my formula to make this peanut butter mix, because I couldn't do it where I'm at because it's a peanut-free facility for the other mixes. It was just, oh my God, it was a lot.
Peanuts at this point in food are like, someone trying to smoke at their desk at an office. They're a crazy product in people's minds. So
it's hard. I mean, people have like serious allergies to them, and I take things so seriously. So when someone asks, like they ask me a question like, well, has this ever been? I was like, you know what? Don't take the chance. Don't buy it. Like, I don't want to, I'm paranoid. So I was like, just please don't buy it. Thank you for offering to buy it, but please don't. Right. I don't want anything to happen. So I'm on I err on this side of caution for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We were waiting for our gluten-free test to come back. And I mean, every ingredient tested is gluten-free, but we hadn't gotten like the result back.
Yes.
And he emailed me and I'm like, God, I thought it was like, I don't want to say anything until we get like, that 100%.
When you get that test, it's so exciting. I was like, holding my breath. I don't even use gluten. So I was like, I don't know why I'm holding.
You're just so afraid for people you would hate, for anyone ever to get anything intentionally. And so, yeah,
100%.
we're obsessive about the flavor of our product and what goes. I mean, I probably have,
Yes,
an
we get
obsession.
it.
Yeah, an obsession with that.
So here's a question from our crowd. Beauty Gypsy says, "Hey, what do you both feel will be a trend post-COVID? Travel."
Oh,
That's my
I
take.
think, and I'm sure Carol agrees with me. It's kind of what we were saying before. I think people are now thinking, you know what, I don't have to just do one thing. Like they were stuck inside and, they made small changes. And I think people just doing kind of these like small changes, like, okay, maybe I'll get Good Deeds instead of Betty Crocker because I kind of want to have a whole pan and not feel unwell. Or maybe, you know what, instead of getting a Reese's, let me get a Bunch Bar because it's going to taste really good. I'm not going to feel so bad about it, but it doesn't be like I have to be gluten-free. I have to be keto. I have to be, this or that. It's like, hey, let me make these small swaps. And I think with everyone being stuck inside, especially now that we're starting to come out, depending on where you live, they are now realizing that they have options and they want to be healthier. I think when people, there's the COVID-15. And so like, I think people just want to do what they can just to feel better about themselves, especially since more research is coming out that if you take care of your actual health and you keep yourself healthier, then you can kind of, you can't fend everything, like every virus off, but it helps you. It helps
Carol
you.
Christensen, what's your take on that? What's next?
I think, well, for us, being a bar and being on the go, I think people's getting back out and on the go is a big piece. But yeah, I mean, the trend behind health and wellness, especially for premium products with really great ingredients, that was there before COVID. I think COVID is just going to take it to the stratosphere, just the next level. I think people are now more attuned with their health and with, that we're not immortal. We want to do better, eat better. And I think for us, the other trend, after COVID is, our concern is, that the recovery might be great for, people who are doing well, but for people who are down on their luck, there's talk that it's going to take a lot longer for that rebound. So, continuing to get that great food, for ourselves and also for others is what we're into.
It'll be big. So we have a special for our person of the day today, which is not an apple. I didn't tell you about that, ladies. Don't worry about it.
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
And so here's the thing. Carol had wanted to send somebody some Bunch Bars and said, we'll send the person of the day some Bunch Bars. And I said, that sounds great. Why not? We don't normally do that sort of thing. But there's two things you have to do. One is be in the contiguous United States because it's out of Carol's pocket to mail you. So sorry, Naz, you're not getting any in Milan unless you send us the plane ticket to Milan. So I'm picking, and I don't know where anybody lives. So how do I know anything? But I'm going to pick Christina. So Christina, if you're in the States and you feel comfortable sending me your mailing address, just send it to chris@chrisbrogan.com and I'll pass it on to Carol. And we'll send you some bars. So
I'll send her some mixes too, if that's okay.
Perfect. Everybody send her some.
So everyone gets it. You get one.
The more the barrier.
Carol started a trend.
Come on in.
When I was talking to Ralph Stayer runs Johnsonville. I was telling Carol earlier that, that he came on the show. He said, what would be really smart, Chris? And, when somebody who's super successful, who's run a big company for many years, you listen, even if you think it's a horrible idea. He's like, start a food show because then they'll just all send you food. Like,
it's
thanks,
true.
Ralph.
You should.
Thanks, Ralph. A reason to move back. So Christina, send me an email, chris@chrisbrogan.com. No Scotland today, Nancy, but I'll send me to Scotland sometime soon and we can hang out and I'll buy you beverages and we'll laugh. So that is how that works. So that was person of the day. I have one last thing before I kick you both out, which happens. It's the show. We asked this question of every single one of our guests. I don't think I talked to you about this ahead of time, which makes me a bad host. What goes in your backpack? Now, the thing is, this could be something physical. It could be something metaphorical. We've had some great answers before in the past. Physical, it's been things like an avocado, because one of our persons, Saida Trujillo, who is a Clown Without Borders member, said that an avocado is great. You can make friends with it. It always changes the way food goes. It's got a great fat source in it, as well as some good vitamins. And she goes, and when you're done, you have a toy. So Granted, it's always the same thing, a boring little wooden toy. But it's a toy. The other weirdest physical thing we ever were told is DJ Cummerbund, who's a mashup artist and a freelance butcher in Brooklyn, said an extra set of teeth. So that was a strange answer. Metaphorical could be things like hope, or it could be kindness, or it could be pride in our heritage, or that sort of a thing. Because Horacio Garcia Rojas was not just a TV and movie actor, but he was a Mexico City TV horror and movie actor. So he was making sure that his civic pride mattered as well. So I've stalled as much as I can. Carol Christensen, what can we say is going to go in your backpack? I need to know something. And by the way, not like 20 things, one physical or one metaphorical thing.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think the metaphorical, I think it would have to be hope for the future, given where we are in the world today. It's just, I know a lot of people say it, but it's just so true.
Hope's never
so that would be it. And then, I would bring as a physical thing. I love backpacking and hiking, and so I would bring my Swiss Army knife. Sorry, I'm a practical person. I would be like, that's what's practically going into my backpack and is in my backpack right now. So
I love it. Deana, Karim, what goes in your backpack?
Sure. Oh, yes. So I want to do two as well. So for the more metaphorical one, probably I've been starting to type up my mom and dad's stories from when they were growing up.
Oh, cool.
So I would probably take those with me because it's, they are immigrants and they came in, and my dad only had $300 and he's an entrepreneur and my mom helped him. So I put that in my backpack as well as a book, because I have this fear that I'm going to be stuck somewhere and my phone will die, and I love to read. So I would take a good book because I'm like a big reader. I read a whole book yesterday, and my husband's like, you finished the whole thing? I was like, it was so good.
Well, one of our backpackers, Whiskey Nate, said, take a book you hate, because he says that if you're stuck somewhere, you never know, you might have the chance to actually find a new relationship with that book you hate.
That's a good point. I've tried that before. It didn't work. So I'm going to just take something I like.
I'm too impatient. I've tried that before. Like, I'm going to just keep reading. I'm going to get there.
I just can't do it. It's not worth it.
It's funny because I'll tell you something really quick. I'm looking for the visual of it though, so I can make it look even prettier. So I'm known for this quote, like even got weird people like Ashton Kutcher shared it and all that. And it's this one quote that's all over the internet. And it's just basically, don't settle, don't finish crappy books. If you don't like the menu, leave the restaurant. And if you're not on the right path, get off it. I barely remember saying it, but it's evidently become a thing. So there you go. That's the answer.
So you're famous.
No, but I'm weirdly internet famous, which is why the real JP Gaming saw my ad on one of the videos he was watching.
Oh, that's so
Sorry,
cool.
JP. The StreamYard, who makes this software we're using, sponsors that. So blame them.
Love it. And I agree with you.
So yeah, I'm not a book finisher. I love to quit. I love quitting. People say quitters never win, but I think people who hold on doggedly to the wrong thing, there's a lot of skeletons.
That's also,
you gotta let go of what's not working.
Let it go. That's what we saw in Frozen.
Let it go.
So my grandmother was a cook, and my grandmother was a cook in the French Canadian traditions, which meant if you could add even more fat, that would be the menu. Like instead of sourcing out Greek yogurt, she was like, can I even put more butter in it? I'll tell you that Toll House cookies she was known for. She had a lot of different dishes. And her version of fried rice, of all things, because, French Canadians, big in the Asian cuisine. So I'll tell you the one weird thing, she had one secret thing that she added to fried rice, and I'm not supposed to share it with anyone, but I'll share it with you.